So you want to get good at the Pokemon trading card game rather quickly? Well, lucky for you, I've got just the video. What's good? Welcome back to the channel. Today we are kicking off the next entry in our how to play guide, Charizard Bibarel. So for those of you who might have missed the last video, we did a Charizard Pidgeot. Next up on the docket, Bibarel feature. This is where I take the deck, I playtest, practice, get all the nuances, the good, the bad, the ugly, the text, the things you should consider, and the future outlook. All of that into one video to help you get good at the Pokemon trading card game rather quickly. So if you enjoyed today's video, be sure to let me know in the comments below what I did right. If you did not enjoy today's video and think I could do better, let me know down below and let me know what I can work on. Moving along, let's take a look at our key points for today. We have the best Charizard ever. I'll get into that. Check the math. Don't worry, it's not multivariable calculus. Just some numbers you should know when we're looking at the Charizard EX deck. Let's get technical. So we're going to talk about the engine of the deck. Pick your partner. We'll briefly take a look at the 3 key variants. There are more. The skeleton list, the concept that you should be looking at, and then give you some considerations and text to fill out your list accordingly. Every metagame's a little different, so it's worth mentioning. And of course, post-rotation is right around the corner, so we are going to adjust those lists. We will be ready for Temporal Forces, EUIC for those lucky folks attending, and everything else down the road up until our next set. Of course, we will have a matchup guide, primarily focused on the now, but because many archetypes remain static or consistent, I think they will apply, and I've been testing a lot of post-rotation, and I do think a lot of it carries. And of course, the long-term outlook. Should you invest into this deck? What's it going to look like in a few months' time? Will this age like fine wine, or will you be throwing it in the trash can the next set time? Who knows? Didn't mean to rhyme there. But on to the next one. The best Charizard ever. Charizard EX is a fantastic Pokemon. Dark Pokemon, 330 hit points. Take a second to just really soak in that ability and first attack. And while you're doing that, I'm going to take a look at the rest of the stats. It's a monstrous Pokemon. 330 hit points on a 2-prize Pokemon is absolutely nothing to laugh at, and it is a monumental task to try to take it down if you are not hitting it for weakness. Grass is not very popular, so it is a tough out most times. Meta Warping. So when Pokemon redesigned the type charts, Dark got a really nice buff in Sword and Shield, so about 3-4 years ago now, and Charizard hits a lot of things for weakness, and very rarely gets hit for weakness. So Dark is a great typing to be putting on a Pokemon, especially the selling points of the card. When you play this Pokemon from your hand to one of your Pokemon, you may search your deck for up to 3 basic fire energy, attach them in any way you like. 3 attachments on top of your turn attachment? That's a lot of attachments. You can set up your key attacker, you can start charging up for next turn. If you have a cheeky combo or a special gimmicky tech attacker that you really want to slot in here, Charizard has energy to spare. It likes to share with its friends. And of course, it has the best type of attack you could ask for, a scaling efficient attack. So 180 off the bat for 2 energy. Did a video ages ago talking about everything I love in a Pokemon card, and Charizard just hits all of the boxes. So 180 base for 2, free attachment elsewhere, and 30 additional damage for each prize card your opponent has taken. If they race out ahead, we get stronger. We will mount the comeback and take the game from them. Losing is the new winning. You'll hear me say that a few times throughout the video. It couldn't be more true in today's game. But the Charizard tax, I know what you're thinking. Charizard sells sets. They're usually expensive. They're the chase card. Little Timmy, Tommy, Timantha, they're always looking for Charizard. Everybody wants Charizard. This one is an exception. This will be the most accessible Charizard I think we'll ever have. We got it in Obsidian Flames about 6 months ago. They gave us 4 beautiful printings right off the bat. I really went ham trying to open up cards in this set because Charizard is just statted. There's so many things to like about the card, and getting your hands on it early was just really good. But let's say you didn't get in on it early. Don't worry. Paldean Fates just came out. They then gave us 2 additional copies. So there's a super pretty copy and another base printing. So that means you can find cards as low as $3 to $5 per Charizard. Unheard of. If you told somebody in 2020 you can find a $3 Charizard that is meta warping, I don't think they'd believe you. And then of course, the comment sections flamed me for this one on the last video. The Paldean Fates tin promo. So it is an alternate training of the full art from the Obsidian Flames. Still gorgeous nonetheless. You buy a tin, you walk away with a Charizard, and you have a chance to pull the pretty Charizard. What's not to like? My favorite product open at the moment. Charizard EX, the box. You weren't done there, or you just want to grab something, give it to somebody, get them into the game. Better way to start. Fun fact, when I was getting into the game, someone gifted me a Charizard GX box. Said, here, open this, have fun. I pulled some really nice cards, couldn't tell you what they were. The Charizard GX box really sold at home. So let's say you have a friend on the fence, even slightly likes the lizard, this could be a nice gift to get them. But anyway, there's 8 printings here, all in varying price points. It's very easy to pick up a playset or multiple playsets of this fantastic card. Time to check the math. Don't worry, don't tune out now, it's not that scary. First up, they've taken no prizes, we do 180. What the card says. So this allows us to hit those setup Pokemon that allow big basic decks to go fast. Squawkabilly, Mew, Lumineon. They want to play them to try to race us off the board. That's 2 free prizes. Take your 2. Let's say they get an early prize. Scales our damage up a little bit. So now we're hitting 190, 200, 210. You will see weird attackers in that range. Good to know that we can hit those if they just take exactly 1 prize. Let's say they take 2 prizes. Let's say they're really racing. They're really going. All those evolving V and V-Star Pokemon, they usually sit between 210, 220. We can take those. The new Paradox Pokemon from Paradox Rift, they usually sit between 220, 240. We can take those. Chenpao, people are hyping that up post-rotation as one of those decks to beat. Chenpao sits at 220. We can take that out rather quickly and even up that prize trade. 270. This is the first and probably only awkward math tier. Goodra, 270. It pops in and out of the format. Goldengo, people are hyping that one up. 300. Now we're hitting home run numbers. This is where you really start just knocking everything out in sight. All of the V-Stars cap out at about 280. All the good ones anyway. Clean and House. Pidgeot EX, which was the draw engine of the previous video. You're knocking that out with 2 prizes and you're really just taking them home. It's a very difficult thing to come back from if they take out your draw or they take out your key attacker. So 2 prizes, you're a beat stick. And let's say they get down to 1 prize remaining and you really need to knock something out. Right now, the most notable is the EXs, both Charizards, 330. That does not include any damage modification in the game, and there is so much to talk about. That's why I just left the base numbers. You can tailor it to your heart's content. See, that wasn't so bad. Let's take a look at the variants now, for those of you who stuck around. So we have Charizard Bibarel, the focus of today's video. We're trying to draw a metric ton of cards. The most appealing part of the Pokemon trading card game for me over any other card game is being able to draw a volume of cards and just really see my deck. Pokemon just says, yeah, I heard you like drawing cards, and it's fun. People love just drawing new cards. It's just one of those mechanics that lured me in, kept me here. Charizard Pidgeot. We talked in depth about that in the previous video. I will be sure to link that in the description if you want to see more on that focus, but today we are all about the Bibarel. And the next video in the series, the last one to close it out, Lost Zone Charizard. So it trades resources by sending them to the Lost Zone, so you get access to power levels with the mechanic. Covered a few videos on the channel talking Lost Boxes, but we will talk Lost Charizard in a few weeks' time. All of them rely on different ways of getting to the Charizard, but once you get to Charizard, it's very much Charizard on the backbone. He's carrying the rest of the way. Charizard is that good of a card, it can slot into just about any deck. Time to get technical. Let's reel our focus back in. Technical Machine Evolution. So this is what really makes the deck stand out and the one that I was most excited to talk about. So it's a tool card that came out in Paradox Rift. It falls off at the end of the turn, but it allows you to use the evolution attack. Choose up to 2 of your benched Pokemon. For each of those Pokemon, search your deck for a card that evolves from that Pokemon, then put them into play. This allows us to play a more low to the ground draw engine. So we have Bidoofs, which already have protection from attacks while they're on the bench, and then 120 hit point draw Pokemon. It also frees up our rare candies. So if we're manually evolving up to Bibarels or, accelerating through the evolution, our rare candies are still free in the late game or allow early pushes that we don't have to waste them on our support Pokemon. You are ending your turn with a draw engine on board. There is so much value in that, so much to like. Many decks will try to disrupt you, whether it's Judge, whatever. Ending with a Bibarel on board really helps you dig out of whatever they try to throw at you. That cannot be understated. That is extreme value. And this is one of those decks where we get to go Charmander, Charmeleon, Charizard. Charizard stands rejoice, and the one Charmeleon fan, this one's for you. You get to use all of them. You get to think about what you want to do with those middle and early stages. Charmander actually makes a difference. The Charmanders you play in this deck matter. Charmeleons you play in this deck matter. The Charizard, we know what we're playing. That's a known commodity. But get to know your Charmanders. So there's a few in format. we're going to talk about the good ones right now. So there's an Obsidian Flames one, 60 hit points, it does 30 and takes 10 damage. Not bad. A promo, 70 hit points, 2 energy, does 40, discards an energy. And then the 151 Charmander has 2 attacks, so double the value. Discard a stadium and play. For 2 fire energy, it does 30 damage. We're going to quickly talk about the pros and cons of each. 70 hit points. Right now, that is a relevant number. Sableye, the Lost Zone mechanic, for all of 2024, Sableye will be in and out of the format. And if you think it's going anywhere, it's not. I'm telling you, it'll be there. That's still very relevant. So there will be times you want the 70. Right now, the 60 is not as desirable, but 70 is a strong selling point for many basics. And it's also Buddy PAF and searchable. The 151 Charmander stands above the rest as it discards stadiums. Again, there's a stadium giving us fits, and being able to use an attack to discard it means that naturally we will have a few outs to that stadium rather than having to dedicate extra spots to it. But they all have different attacks that are matchup specific. The 1 energy attacks are good, the matchup attacks are good. You kind of have to keep your numbers in mind. Not all Charmander are created equal. Consider your matchups as they all have their own strengths and weaknesses. 151 is the one I'm leaning towards though. But we did not forget about our Charmeleon. Charmeleon also has quite a few cards in format. They really went all out with your Charmander love and decision making. There is the new Paldean Fates Charmander. 90 hit points, it has protection from all non-damaging attacks. So effects of attacks do not hurt this Pokemon. 50 for 2 is kind of meh. 90 hit points, Obsidian Flames, 70 damage, and this also does 20 to itself, so this is a pretty aggressive Charmeleon. Then there's the 100 hit point Charmeleon from 151. 1 energy, 20, 3 energy, 90. Alright, you know the drill, we're going to go back into it. Pros and cons. Protected from Greninja. Right now, Moonlight Shuriken, Radiant Greninja is a bit of a problem. Getting hit 90-90 twice does hurt, because they're typically pairing it with the Canceling Cologne to negate your Manaphy. So having the extra bulk, the extra 10 hit points goes a long way. Sometimes Manaphy gets prized, sometimes it's not available, or you had to really put emphasis on your Charmanders. 10 extra hit points does mean something. Protection from Sableye. I don't think Sableye, the Lost Zone engine, I think it was well designed. I don't think it's going anywhere. So in the later stages of the game, when you have to manually evolve up and not put too many Charizards into play, having that protection on the bench without a Jirachi frees up your board and allows you to play a little safer. It also protects you from the TM devolution, which a lot of Charizard decks falter to. The last one, if you're an aggression kind of person, the middle one is a perfect attacking threat. 70 damage gets your non-evolved basics, gets a couple key pieces if you're hitting for weakness. There's some damage mods out there, but it's a nice poke. It's a nice 1-for-1. Depends on how you want to build your deck. They all have their uses. Play the ones that you expect to get the most value out of. If you're seeing more Greninjas than Sableye, lean to the ones. If you're seeing a lot of Lost Box, because the game will shift, it goes back and forth, it doesn't stay the same, pick the one that works best for you. You want to set yourself up to succeed. Okay, what do I say? Well, there's the other guys. Let's try to rapid fire this. There's a Pokemon Go Charmander. There's a Pokemon Go Charmeleon. There's a Pokemon Go Charizard. And of course, there's the 151 Fire-type Charizard EX. So what are my thoughts on them? Because the game is still changing. You never know down the line. Well, first of all, don't play the Charmander from Go. I really don't see a selling point. Yes, that alternate artwork with him holding the parcel is adorable. No, I do not think it's worth playing just for that art. Trust me, I tried it. It's so not worth it. Charmeleon, we've just seen 3 better Charmeleons. This one is 4th out of 4 for a reason. Charizard. So 1 prizer, and it has an ability that doubles your basic fire energy in play. So Infernal Rain turning 3 into 6, that could provide some really good value, and attacking as a 1 prizer can never be understated. If grass type attackers show up, this could really help, because you can put 1 attachment elsewhere and really stretch them out, plus you can attach for turn. So it's like you're getting 8 attachments with this thing in play. Keep that one in the binder for now. Charizard EX. Fire type, 1 fire energy, 60 if it does an extra 100 if it has any damage counters on it. The first thing I'm thinking is that Magma Basin. A little clunky, so maybe not. But the other one, let's take a look at the second attack. 330 damage, discard 3 energy. So right now I'm pulling off some combos that I'll show up later in the video where I'm trying to do early damage, like really high damage early. This could be an alternative. And then rather than trying to fill the secondary effect on the attack, we can sponge a hit and then maybe respond with a Brave Wing. Haven't put too much investment on this because I haven't seen anything to warrant playing it, but I do already have 2 of them sitting in the binder because you never know. Pokemon card game is funny like that. All right, Pidgeot versus Bibarel. We're going to be very quick on this one. Bibarel, Pidgeot, you know the drill. Let's talk some strengths. We've got 5 to 10 extra cards per turn. If you like that, Bibarel, great. If you like searching for one exact puzzle piece, Pidgeot's your fixer. Bibarel gives up 1 prize, but only has 120 hit points. That's a good value there. Pidgeot has incredible bulk, but gives up 2 prizes. 280 hit points is a hard ask. Both of them are awkward to go after because your opponent has to go out of your way for them. Bench protection basics. Call for family. So the basics underneath do provide some sort of value. So you do have to consider that. Do you want the 60 hit point or the 70 hit point Bidoof? Do you want the 50 hit point Pidgey or the 60 hit point Pidgey? They're actual questions you should be asking yourself. Briefly going to talk about the weaknesses. Needs more switch cards. But Bibarel's clunky right now. Could change, so you have to invest a little bit more moving it around. Boss stall is easy. Urgency turn 1. You can Industrious Incisor from your hand. You need to invest more spreading out your board and setting up. Blind draw, people complain, is never as good as targeted draw. Sometimes you just draw so many cards, and then there's other times you just miss the card. You could draw 15, 20 cards and still miss the one piece you need. Shut off by PAF. Pidgeot does have that problem right now, not so much in a month. Rare candy reliant. You're stressing the 4 rare candy you already have in your deck that you really want to be saving for Charizard. Once per turn. 1 card might not be enough, and then you're like, oh crap, what do I do? Because you're still another piece away. And if you quick search a turn before and your opponent Ionos you, then there's no way to really fix that, right? So my starting skeleton, it is a 46 card list. Please keep in mind there's 1 Charmeleon and 1 Charmander missing. You do have to add those in order to really maximize the deck. We would like to see another Gust option, Energy, Super Rod, etc. They're all things that you should consider. I didn't really touch upon your path bumps. Like there's a Lost Vacuum here, but mostly because it's a tool bump and a path bump, so it's very good there. How do we fill out those 14 cards? Well, let's take a look at all the techs and considerations first, and then I will give you where I went with the list. Techs and Pokemon considerations. You got to get your 4th Charmander. Who are you going with? It doesn't matter. Please don't look at the Pokemon Go one. It's so not worth it. Don't do it. It's a trap. Charmeleon. Like I said, I've tried the technical machine evolution route. You need at least 2 Charmeleons to really get the most out of it. Otherwise, you're playing a different deck and you just cut it all together. Charizard. The meta might open up for these 2 to see play, and they're always worth considering. Keep them in the back of your mind because you might find applications that I'm overlooking where you can really squeeze the value. I'm a Thornton guy, and I can always get the value out of Thornton, so that's one that I put into decks that most people won't. Let's take a look at some bench sitters. Common includes in Charizard decks, Lumineon will grab you a supporter card, Rotom, it'll end your turn if you have to go first, but typically we want to go second on the first turn of the game, so we're using our TM evolution. It's a little sus there. Pidgeot V. So it allows us to get access to a Forest Seal Stone, and then when it's done, its Vanishing Wings allows it to hide back in the deck. So we can clear ourselves of 2 prize liabilities early. Pidgeot EX. Do you ever want to try a hybrid build? Japan's already trying it, so Gengar. This one here, do you have any issues with mobility? Are you afraid of stall? This says once during your turn, you may move your bench with your active, and it's an ability that can't be turned off. 130 hit points is actually a really good number because it keeps you out of Sableye math, and a lot of things like to hit for 20, 120, looking at you, blustery wind, so they need to 2-hit it in order to really deal with it. Mew, Jirachi, Squolvet, these are all small sample Pokemon. Mew, if we had a little bit more movement, I could justify. Jirachi, I really do like because Lost Mine is in and out of the format. Squolvet, pre-rotation, not so much. Post-rotation, I definitely like it. It only happens when your bench space is tight. You really have to invest. A 3rd copy of Bidoof. Nice sacrifice. There's a Bibarel that protects your deck from your opponent trying to discard cards off the top of your deck. It could see play. There's a few archetypes coming and a few ways Control might adapt. Code Scroll, back in Japan, they were doing their Elite Four. Code Scroll EX protects you from Giratina V-Stars, Star Requiem, Roaring Moons, Frenzied Gouging. Code Scroll, the baby one, protects you from Chen-Pao if you think that's going to be a thing. But again, you're adding an additional stage 1 line, so I'm not entirely sold. Minior. People are writing this off as the Snorlax tech. It is not. It is a nice include, but I don't think I'm sold on it. So it's here, but it's not in one that I would recommend. Then we're looking at our item-based search, so it never hurts to add some more Pokeballs. Hisuian Heavy Ball is always great when you're learning a deck. Being able to check your prizes right away eliminates so much difficulty. You're like, okay, I know what that is, or you can retrieve a one-off Pokemon you really freaking need, like Manaphy or Jirachi or Radiant Charizard. Your stadiums, you are going to need a few of them pre-rotation. Post-rotation, the Stadium War is easing up with Path to the Peak rotating. Lost City does fix a few matchups. Collapse is defensive, and Artisan is just extra nest balls. Doubling up on counts already in the deck never hurts. Super Rod, Counter Catcher, you can go Aggression, go Recovery. The tools, there are so many good ones now, and you're playing 4 copies of Arven, so whether you go with Devolution to fix the mirror, Forest Stone to give a V-Star power, many damage modifications. Some are Justified Gloves, Choice Belt, Defiance Band. Defiance Band is picking up in play because you want to play from behind, so getting the extra 30 damage is always really good. Then we have some supporters, Turo Scenario to pick a damaged Pokemon up, Iono, max him out, Worker, maybe you like that route to discard your stadiums, Boss's Orders, never hurts to add a third one, one copy of Professor's Research. I call this the Break the Glass because everything's going horribly, so you can always find it, play it, draw 7 cards, a 7th or 8th Fire Energy, 1 or 2 Jet Energy for additional movement. See, these are all cards you should consider. There's plenty to look at, but rather than overwhelm you with all the cards you could be playing, I'm going to talk about the ones that I am playing. Pre-rotation. So my list pre-rotation will look different than my post-rotation list. Pre-rotation, I'm seeing a lot of block lacks, I am seeing a lot of mirror matches, and I just really want to be aggressive. So I took the approach of keeping 2 prizers off my board with the exception of Charizards. I want them to work through the Charizards. Everything else should be unappealing because I don't want them looking at my Bibarels, I don't want them looking at my Charmanders, and Radiant Charizard is just there for good fire-type coverage and some early aggressive plays. Pidgeot, I already mentioned, you can use the V-Star power, then send it back into the deck, clears a space. We're playing the extra copy of Boss, we're playing 3/3 of Nest Ball and VIP Pass. What I was finding was I wasn't getting enough VIP Passes, or I was looking for additional Nest Balls because I do like to be aggressive with this deck and try to squeeze in Radiant Zard earlier, so having extra Nest Balls for the late game really helped. The rare candy, sometimes I will push for that Radiant Charizard, and there'll be a Charizard sitting on the bench with just no energy on it because they're all in the Radiant. So the third rare candy lets me work in with that, the Collapse lets me push it off, Countercatcher, Energy Search because we're playing the Technical Machine Evolution. One Lost Vacuum for now, but Lost Vacuum, Lost City, and Collapsed are all interchangeable. So you expect more path-heavy decks like Giratina and Mew. I would put in a second copy of Lost Vacuum generally because they're Arven searchable, they're really easy to find, and they thin cards out for Bibarel. Opt for a second Lost City. If you expect to see Gardevoir, I didn't mention it, Chien-Pao, because their Baxcaliburs and their Shining Arcana Gardevoirs are very difficult to deal with. Now, let's take a look at the elephant in the room. So the Gengar, there is 1 Gengar, there is 1 Ghastly, there's 3 Rare Candy, 1 Jet, and 1 Switch. So I know what you're thinking. That is a lot of movement in the deck, and you are correct. I have teched this particular list out in direct response to the previous video having no answer to a particular deck. I would rather have too much movement and simplify my game plans than not have enough and take a conceded matchup even if I change up the deck. But if you accept control as the strategic loss, you can cut your Gengar and your Ghastly for more consistency cards like Skwovet, VIP Pass, 7th Fire Energy, a Choice Belt, a Devolution TM. They really do free up the spots, but I was giving control the respect it deserves because I'm seeing it more frequently. People are realizing it's end of the format. People really hate this deck and they're going to play it a ton because it's free wins. I'm playing it on the side just to learn how to beat it. It is free wins if you're not prepared for it. I want it to be over-prepared and ruin somebody's day. So we've got some quick tips to success. Go second when you can. Chien-Pao is the only notable exception, or anything that can do Canceling Cologne, Moonlight Shuriken with the Radiant Greninja. The ones that come to mind are Goldingo and Chien-Pao, but Chien-Pao is more prevalent, so don't let them go first. Establish your basics early. So we need to go push, we need to be wide, we need to be on the board. If they're sitting in your hand or sitting in your deck, they don't do you any good. So do what you can safely to get your board set up. Prioritize your setup. We're not looking for the first attack. We're looking for a stable board, and we can give up a prize or 2 early. Trust me, it's worth it. You get the multiple Bidoofs down, you get a handful of Charmanders down, and then they take a prize. Don't panic, don't sweat it, stay the course. Like I said, we can give up those prizes because they're only fueling our numbers. 180 doesn't hit as hard as you'd think. 210 is still a little funky. 220 is really where we're going for. So 220, 240. Deck likes to play slow and steady. You just have to be ready to play and come back. And then, of course, I see this all the time, and many great players pointed out, look for the why. Understand and ask questions. I see people just going, no. What are my lines? What do I need to do? What is this? I need to do this. If he does that, I need to do this. Okay, well, sometimes you might have to break plan. Like, yes, I'm normally going to knock out this here, the fish right away, or I'm going to knock out this right away. Then they're going to do this predictably. So what if I start picking apart other elements of their board? A lot of people, once you throw a wrench in conventional lines of thinking or the lines they've memorized, they can't adjust. Once you force them to actually think, work on the fly, many players will make mistakes. And I'm not sitting there, we're banking on mistakes. I'm just saying, if you understand why they are doing the things they are doing, what they are trying to accomplish, and where they want to go with their board and where your cards want to go, you really improve as a player. So understand, ask, look for it, you're better off. You won't make that mistake twice, and you will improve. Some key cards we're going to quickly touch upon. I'm trying my best, guys. I swear. Anything that puts Pokemon into play on the first or second turn of the game. Nest Balls, VIP Passes, Arvins, you got to get those down. Slam as many of them as you can because you need 2 Charmanders, you need 2 Bidoofs. TM Evo, Rare Candy, you might not play them right away. We're typically looking for the evolution. What if we prize it? That's okay. Keep tabs on your rare candies. We play the 3rd candy because turn 2, going first or second, we might need to pop a candy just to really pop off. Keep tabs on your Charmeleons. Sometimes they wind up in the prizes. I always found at least one of them sneaking their way in there, and it's usually the one you wanted the most. So just before you go in for Technical Machine Evolution, just save yourself the headache. Maybe it's an S-Ball, maybe it's an Artisan. Just go look, make sure they're in there so you know what you're doing. And then, of course, the Pidgeot and the 4 Seal Stone. I call this the get out of jail free card. So Pidgeot can get out of jail. 4 Seal Stone gets us a rare candy. It could grab us a Switch. It could grab us an Ultra Ball. It could grab us a boss's orders, you name it. It's really, really handy, and right now I'm in love with it. I might eventually cut it for 1 Pidgey, 1 Pidgeot EX, but not until Path to the Peak rotates. This can even get me out of Path to the Peak, so I'm happy with that. So this is the early board. Before I jump into it, I want to let you know now, I say the dream start to give you something to work towards. Variation happens. Sometimes you get dealt a bad hand. You can't quite dig there. I think this deck is a little more forgiving in its setup. Yes, you have to push. Yes, there's a little more stress, but it doesn't quite matter because your active doesn't really matter. As long as it's not Pidgeot, it could be anything. It really could. We're aiming towards 2 Charmanders, 2 Bidoofs. If you want to skew some counts to get that second Bidoof into play, or usually the game plan is 2 Charmanders. We play 4, so it shouldn't be too hard. At least 1 Bidoof. Second one is typically what we're aiming for, but it doesn't always work out that way. And then a sacrifice in the active.
King Julian, why am I tied to his stick?
To trigger any explosives Carl might have set for me.
Oh, yay! I'm a sacrifice!
Yes, we'll call it the Mort. Doesn't matter who it is, because they're going to get an energy, they're going to get a Technical Machine Evolution, and if everything is going according to plan, don't be afraid if plan deviates a little bit, it is going to accelerate a couple of our Pokemon, and then it is going down. Typically, it's Pidgeot and 4 Seal Stone. Sometimes we just might need the second VIP pass to really spread the board. So we might go Arvin, VIP pass, 4 Seal Stone. One of the targets is actually Pidgeot, and then Pidgeot will use the 4 Seal Stone, grab a second VIP pass, then it will go back into the deck, and then we will use the second VIP pass to just really spread our board out. Some games we get lucky and don't have to burn it early, and then we can save it for late. But many times we're really putting a focus on the setup. It could be anything. It could be Manaphy, it could be a 3rd Charmander. Now let's take a look at the board. This is where you're going. Turn 2, turn 3, whatever. We have a Charizard in the active who's usually swinging, doing anywhere from 210 to 240 before we add our Defiance Band. We have 2 Bibarels on board, assuming they made it up. Sometimes they get picked off. That's okay. Usually 1 is what we're aiming for. Then we have 1 Radiant Charizard. So before you evolve up manually into the Charizard EX, slap down the Radiant Charizard because the 3rd attachment always goes on the Radiant Charizard. It's just lining up the next attacker. So they've already taken 1 prize, so Charizard attacks for 4. And then if they ever knock out the EX, then it attacks for 3. So then we're pretty much priming our secondary attacker. Like the lineup is right there. But then we have that second Charmeleon on the bench. Do not prematurely evolve the EX. The EX on the bench is an incorrect play. You want to leave it as a Charmeleon until you absolutely have to. It's not appealing. You have the EX in the active and you have the unevolved on the bench. You're prioritizing their attention to the active. You don't want them touching either. You want to make them work through the EX. Sometimes they can't and they have to 2-hit KO, which is great. If they decide to chase the Charmeleon, that means your EX is getting bigger and you can set up a Charmander. You don't want to put multiple EXs into play because that is the advantage this build has, is we put the EX into play when we want it and we really make them work through a 1 prize board state. And then of course the flex spot, it could be Manaphy, it could be Jirachi, it could be Charmander, it could be Gengar. In Gardevoir, Chenpao, or Blocklax, it's usually Gengar. But this is a nice board. We're pretty happy with that. This is what I mean. Squovit doesn't really fit. Matchup specific spots, so know it. If you see a Radiant Greninja, maybe don't play anything until the Manaphy there. Like, really keep that spot. If you identify it's a Blocklax right away, work towards your Gengar. Just know where that spot fits, right? You got to know theirs. So post-rotation, what does this deck lose? Pretty much nothing. It loses its biggest pain in the neck, Path to the Peak. Toss it away. but Temporal Forces gives us a lot of gas. Buddy Poffin, clear upgrade over Battle VIP Pass. It can be played through any stage of the game. In my testing, it has been a quality of life adjustment. I couldn't have asked for better. Search your deck for up to 2 basic Pokemon with 70 hit points or less. We're already playing 2 to 3 Nest Balls, so Buddy Poffin is specifically for Bidoofs, Manaphy's, Jirachis, or Charmanders. Gouging Fire. Someone was kind enough in the previous video to point this one out. Completely skipped my radar. Thank you. You know who you are. 3 energy, 260 damage. Allows us to go on the aggression early. What's not to like there? Again, I'm already pulling off the convoluted Radiant Charizard plays. If you're telling me I can pull off that play for 1 energy less, I'm here for it. Then the Ace Specs. We are going to get Ace Specs in the next set, and I imagine the next set for the rest of the year. The first few that we've received that I will talk about in the video, Prime Catcher, it's a boss's orders and a switch in one. So mobility is a big issue in this deck. That's nice to have. Maximum Belt fixes your numbers. I have not been having much difficulty in terms of hitting my numbers, so Prime Catcher is one I'm really liking, but they're interchangeable. Hero's Cape. Because we're putting 1 EX into play at a time, really making them work through the Hero's Cape is nice, because that's a 430 hit point Dark Pokemon that even if they were hitting you for weakness, if they're not hitting you hard enough, they can't get through you. So Hero's Cape could be a nice defensive tactic, but the game hasn't given me any indication that it is in a defensive state. So aggression is still the preferred route when I'm picking my Ace Spec. So there's the list. Few key changes. We did cut the Gengar package. I feel like if Block Lax remains as prevalent as it's going to be, we'll have to put it back, but for now this is what we're running. We opted for the Jirachi and the Charmeleon. If you don't think Lost Boxes are going to be popular in your metagame, I know I've been testing without, you really do. We opted for a second 60 hit point Charmander, but let's say you also want to change a few other cards. Cryptomancer's Deciphering, which lets you manipulate the 2 cards on the top of your deck. Maybe that's not working for you. Maybe you don't push for the early aggression like I do with the 3rd Rare Candy, or the setup with the 3rd Nest Ball. No problem. You can cut those right away. If you're looking for stadium counterplay or fixing a very specific matchup, the Nest Ball and the Rare Candy are the first 2 cards I would look at, because usually you can get away with playing 2 of each. But again, I like the pop-off plays. I like to really go ham and up my consistency cards. So keep in mind that that's what you're trading off if you just decide to cut those. They might also be cards I dip into if we're playing against a lot of Snorlax control. So now it's rapid fire matchup, dollar pathouts. Gen Pow. So this one is expected to see an uptick in play post rotation and pre-rotation. It's starting to swing back that way. The metagame is killer like that. So go first when possible. Again, Moonlight Shuriken is a very terrible attack. We really don't want to succumb to that. Target the Baxcalibur. I dare a Gen Pow player to deviate from those standardized counts of 2 Baxcalibur and 3 Rare Candy. I really don't think they'll do it. So those are known commodities. Just keep an eye on that. You just pick them off, make them burn it. If you can take it from them, so be it. They might even prize one. Who knows? Don't overbench your EXs. So again, another strength we have to this deck is that we can control when we put multi-prize Pokemon into play. Try to constantly use the Radiant Charizard. Radiant Charizard is how you will creep ahead in this matchup, because we have played 2 Super Odds, we play Jet Energy, we can even play the Gengars to really reset it, and the Nest Balls. It's very easy to retrieve Radiant Charizard and get through. So once they're in the 3 prizes or the 2 prizes, we don't have to lean into the Charizards again. We can just recycle and keep going, or we can present a late game Charizard and say, beat that. They need 6 energy to go through it. We play plenty of Gust, so Boss's Orders, Counter Catcher, a couple Baxcaliburs off the board and they're sweating, maybe a Counter Catcher, Radiant Charizard, and an Iono. If they want to try to keep pace or trade ahead, they have to deal with the Radiant Charizard because they're not fishing after that Charizard EX. So this one, it is dicey. You can make this one a little bit more free by playing Lost City, but right now we're not, because we're respecting other matchups. Then we have Snorlax control. So I heard you in the previous video. Wasn't nice just pressing concede. Don't worry, we overcommitted to this one, and I'm going to cut out my game plan. I've been sending it to people very close to me and showing them how I'm picking it apart, and I've been able to repeat it enough where I'm comfortable sharing it with the rest of you. Avoid benching liabilities. Easier said than done, but don't give them freebies. Make them have to Erica's Hospitality out of your hand. Prioritize Ghastly and Gengar. So Ghastly, as soon as you know it's in the deck, go for it. If it's not in the deck and it's in the prizes, you have to start digging for them. You'll get about 2 or 3 prizes before you run out of resources to get them. Then you need 1 of your 3 rare candies and your Gengar. They can't discard your Gengar once it's in your hand, but they can discard your rare candy if they're in your deck. Post rotation, they will be able to discard them from your hand, so don't flash you have them. 4 Seal Stone, Pidgeot being able able to fetch it when you need it is also very nice. Watch for key resources. There's a lot of key ones in this matchup. We have rare candies, super odds, lost vacuums, switch, and energy. What do all these cards have in common, aside from the energy? They are item cards. They are Misfortune Sisters discardable, so be very, very careful with those. Try to protect a super odd and a rare candy and a vacuum. They're a little annoying, but they're not, you know, set up at least one Bibarel. So when you get to about 2 or 3 prizes remaining, where they're going to try to take the steam out of your sale, they're going to try to stall something up that really can't attack or doesn't have any energy on it, like Manaphy, Drachi, whatever, and then they're going to Iono you. But if you have at least one Bibarel, you can dig out of it. All right, this one is really, really important. So we have 7 energy in the deck. You have to keep tabs on whether you prize any or whether any get milled. Don't let them get milled. If you can help it, 2 fire on the Charizard EX, the remaining 5 on the Radiant Charizard. If you have the Gengar in play, this loop becomes very, very easy and they pretty much have to scoop to it unless they can apply pressure back. Gengar, Radiant Charizard, take a knockout. On the off turn, retreat, Charizard EX. Preferably onto a Snorlax, so then you can Lost Vacuum, discard the tool, take a knockout. That's 3 prizes. Then you're going to try to cycle back in with the Radiant Charizard, and you're either going for a Rotom or another Snorlax. If you can get rid of the Mimikyu, that's even better, because on the off turn, that means you can come up and freely attack with the Charizard EX. You're forcing them to not only have an answer to your Gengar, but have an answer that's big enough to deal with your Radiant Charizard. The second Lost Vacuum is really, really nice here over, say, Lost City. Like, if you're really going to dedicate to this matchup because you're like, man, screw this deck, the second Lost Vacuum is very nice. I did spread them out for the picture, but I was really leaning towards 2 vacuums in this matchup because when I saw this matchup, I wanted it to be as free as I humanly could make it. But that's my Snorlax. Please keep in mind, this is just a roadmap. Things can still go wrong, you can still lose. The inclusion of Gengar gives you a fighting chance. Attacking control or key cards discarded early can still cost you games. So as much as it feels like it's more free with the Gengar loop and the Radiant Charizard just barrel rolling its way through everything, you can still lose. Don't sleep on this matchup. You still got to use your noggin. Next up, Rhydon. Mostly pre-rotation because post-rotation it's been MIA. Assess the build. Peony or PAF? We really need to know. Once you know, that changes everything. Bench-wide double up, 2 Bidoof, 2 Charmander at minimum. They're going to target the one you play lesser of, so try to keep things even. None of our Pokemon are weak to lightning, so that's also really nice. What are your vacuums for? Again, I usually like to play 2. If it's path build, we're going to take out the paths. If we assess that it's a turbo, like you see it's Peony, or they're going to push for the Amp You Very Much turn 1, it's going to be for the Brave Charm to bring it back down so when Charizard EX swings into it. Radiant Zard is our early offense. They take 1 prize, Radzard attacks for 4, so that's an attachment plus the full Infernal Rain. If they knock out 2 with the Amp You Very Much, that's just 3 attachments, that's the full Infernal Rain. Why does that attack name just sound wrong? Infernal Rain is just 3, so then we can respond on it very quickly. Radiant Charizard can swing early, can swing often. I've kind of tailored the build, or at least my mindset when playing the deck, to really utilize Radiant Charizard. Combustion Blast, Excited Heart is a fantastic combination. Key cards. Radiant Charizard, if it's in your prizes, you really got to dig for it. Lost Vacuum feels like a superhuman card, like incredible. Charizard EX, Infernal Rain, Burning Darkness. It's kind of like your cleanup because once they've taken 2 prizes, they really can't beat through the EX faster than you can take it out. Let's say you see the Tapu Koko EX. I mentioned more in the video. We play a lot of movement. Set up the Gengar if you're worried about it, or stall plays or anything like that. Never hurts because you're going to have extra bench spots. Roaring Moon. This deck just keeps picking up in popularity. Haven't played it yet, but I keep getting requests for it. Bench wide, double up. You never know. Again, same thing with Miraidon. They will target the one you play less of. Don't EX too early. EX with a purpose. Chase the support Pokemon. If you're going to EX early, please, for the love of God, do a 2-for-2 trade. You're looking for either the Mew, the Squawk, Lumineon. Anything less, if you're 2-hit KOing something with the EX, take a turn off. Dare them to knock something out. Leave it be. Radiant Charizard early and often. I'm telling you, it's really easy to set up 4 energy on that Radiant Charizard. Turn attachment plus the full Infernal Rain. So whether it's the Jet off of the Forest Seal Stone, whether it's just promoting it, if you put it on the bench and flex it, they either have to acknowledge it or they have to deal it. And because you have the Charmeleon sitting on the bench, they then get put in this really awkward spot of Radiant Charizard about to punch me in the face, Charizard on the bench, Charmander or Charmeleon on the bench ready to charge up both Charizards if I knock out the Radiant. Like, what do I do? They can chase the EX, and then we just won't bench the EX, and then we'll take 4 prizes off of a 1 prize Pokemon. So it's kind of a lose-lose for Roaring Moon, right? And then we play the Vacuums if they do decide to play the Booster Capsule. So Radiant Charizard is your best attacker in this matchup by far. Do not evolve the second EX until late. Unless it's winning time, unless you're about to declare the game-winning attack, and you need a 270 or 300 damage Burning Darkness, do not evolve it. It's not needed. Like I just said, Radiant Charizard is your best attacker. Try to get the most value out of that card as you humanly can. If they have to go 1, 2, 1, we're trying to go 2, 2, 2 across the board and take them out. 3 attacks should get us there. Don't worry about getting that 4th attack. It's not worth it. If they put the Morpeko out, whatever, that's bait. We'll wait. We hold enough gust anyway to get them. Keeps coming back in and out, and I'm not sure why it hasn't caught on yet. Radiant Greninja and like 2 to 3 water energy really make this deck pop, so please play your Manaphy. Safe than sorry. Worst case, it becomes a sacrifice. Best case, you just protected all your Pokemon early, and they did not get to Moonlight Shuriken at you out of the game. Because if they take 3 prizes, I believe it's 3, once they take about 3 prizes, the game is pretty much unwinnable because you can't outpace the Frenzied Gouging. At least what I've found. Key cards. Jet Energy, Radiant Charizard. Again, sometimes you'll pull off that 4 energy Combustion Blast and just really put them on the back foot and go, oh shit, do I deal with the Charizard that just powered me up? Do I deal with the thing punching me in the face? We play enough boss cards, so you know what I mean? We play enough boss cards, so those are always going to pull their weight, and just make sure you're taking out moons. If they have to Frenzied Gouging, save that thing for later, deal with the fresh one. Goldingo, okay. This one I'm just going to rapid fire through. Go first one possible. Again, Moonlight Shuriken canceling Cologne. Can't beat that one with a dead horse anymore. Knock out the Greninja immediately. I really have a hate on for Greninja if you couldn't tell. Do not overbench your EXs. So your Charmeleons are really where it stops until you need them. Your Bibarels make sense. If you overbench, they want to go Charizard, 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 ignore the rest. We don't want them to do that. We also want them to have to work through the Radiant so much. Ignore the Palkia. Really, Goldingo with the Radiant is where our game plan is going to lie. Goldingo KOs plus Iono. So we can go Jet Energy. We can go Combustion Blast with the Infernal Rain. We can Iono. We have the Counter Catcher. Like, we have all of the tools to really get 2 Combustion Blasts out. And if we're playing Manaphy, we don't ever have to worry about them responding on it. So it is kind of funky. Don't be afraid to take the 4th attack there, where you maybe just get the Greninja off the board early because they play a lot of ugly draw. And I don't think it gets any better post-rotation. Prove me wrong. Do not touch the goddamn Pokestop. I don't care what you say. I see all the horror stories. Pokestop flips over 3 Colress. Pokestop flips over a bunch of Pokemon and energies. Do not touch the damn stop. You are not built for it. If you want to spin a Pokestop, take your phone out of your pocket, open up Pokemon Go, find your nearest gym, spin the Pokestop, put it away. Do not touch the physical TCG one. I think the card is bait, and if you play it and you get burned by it, that's your own fault. I tried to warn you. Key cards. Charmeleons. The 100 hit point ones are big enough for Radiant Greninja not to be able to hit through. Manaphy, you play it just to be safe. Radiant Charizard, again, is pulling its weight. If you can't tell, Radiant Charizard is pretty much one of your best attackers in a lot of these matchups because it's up trade potential. Lost City improves this matchup. You should play it. Another interesting combination, you can go bench the Radiant Charizard, evolve your Charmeleon to Charizard, Infernal Rain, 3 on the Radiant, Jet Energy is 4, then you Counter Catcher, Defiance Band. You could also knock out the Palkia EX if they take 1 prize. Because sometimes they lean into the Palkia and go, you can't hit me. That's what you think. That combo happens more often than you think, and it sounds really gimmicky, but it comes up really freaking often. I love it. Arceus variants. So this is the deck built on the cheese. I know we talked about Goldingo, but this is the cheese deck. There's the 4 key variants you'll see. Go first one possible. They want to evolve first. Take that away from them. Anticipate disruption. They're going to Judge Path. This is the ultimate Judge Path deck. Played it for about 6 months last year. It just does... It wins games it has no business winning because a Judge just takes your opponent out of the game. Recognize the threats. So depending on the deck, you got to realize what is going to hurt me or what is contributing to their winning. Like, if Bibarel is allowing them to draw to some ugly starts, take the Bibarels. If they've got an Armarouge, or if they've got something, or they've got a Vulpix V on the bench that they're charging up, or something that looks like it's going to harm you, you got to realize what's threatening you and what's bait. Arceus V-Star in the active, even though it's hitting you, is usually bait. It's what it's charging up is what's going to do the real damage. Resist 2-hit KOs. They're just going to Sharon's Care or Turo Scenario it, pick it up. If you can help it, avoid it. We play 4 boss cards or switch cards. Just work around that, please. Chase those rebench V Pokemon. Vulpix V is 190. Goodra is 220. Arc, Giratina, you name it, are only 220. They should be pretty easy to knock out. Make the most of your gust. So do it with a purpose. If you have to boss early to take out a Bibarel, just remember it's screwing them over because they can't judge you as freely because then they're locked to 4 cards. But if they have the Bibarels and they have the Squovits, they can cycle through a ton, a ton of cards. And then that's when things get really out of hand quickly. Key cards, Radiant Charizard. I'm going to drive home that combo again. Infernal Rain, Jet Energy, Defiance Band, attack for 4 energy. You can knock out an Arceus V-Star if they decide to knock out your Charmander or your Bidoofs. It is a lot to ask, and I get if you want to add a second Jet or if you want to add a Choice Spell, but the Combustion Blast combo, if they take exactly 1 prize and just respond on the V-Star, is hilarious because sometimes they miss a beat or they're not quite ready yet. And then it's just really, really nice because they're like, whoa, shit, okay, I didn't see that coming. And Radiant Charizard can just keep coming into the game again and again and again. And it's just a great Pokemon to have in the deck. Lost Zone Box. So I've covered 3 videos on it. We're always going to pick on it now. Still a great deck, but we got to talk about how to beat it. Look to identify the variant. Is it the Greninja build? Watch their Lost Zone count. 4 is Cramorant, which is usually safe. 7 is any Mirage Gate attacker, which can get really silly. Could be Moonlight Shuriken, it could be Iron Hands, could be Roaring Moon, could be anything I'm forgetting. 10 is where you got to watch out for Sableye. That's when you bench your Jirachis, because Lost Mine can pick apart your board very, very quickly. Play your Charmeleon. If you constantly skip up from Charmander to Charizard, they will look for the Devolution play to punish you. Devolution is such an easy include. I'm experimenting with it in quite a few of my Lost Zone decks, regardless of what they are, not just the Radiant Charizard builds you're seeing now. I think it's a very strong card. With Town Store and format, it's a searchable card. Conserve your resources. Super Rods, energies, rare candies, you name it, they're very good to protect. The Gengar is also very good. Don't just discard that because it's not a Snorlax matchup. It allows you to move around in case they want to counter catch you and then really pick your board apart. Selective Disruption. Iono, if they're building a very fat hand and they're just popping off, take it from them. If they're floundering, let them flounder, let them dig out of it. Sometimes Lost Box just bricks and it can't get out of it. It doesn't have the Abyss Seeking that the Giratina has. And when you go with that, keep applying pressure. Squeeze them until it hurts. Use your bulk. Charizard is a 330 hit point behemoth. If we don't bench more than 1, they have to swing through it if they want to catch up on the trade. We also play Collapse Stadium, so we can discard it if we feel like it's about to get KO'd and deny them a KO. And with how easy it is to Super Rod and recycle and reset up a Charizard, we can deny KOs before they really get to do anything. Just really use the bulk of the Charizard to your advantage. Key cards, Collapse Stadium, again, counterplay. Charmeleon from Baldean Fates because it protects against Sableye and Ionos. I would really love a 4th Iono. That'd be my 61st card, but we make do with the 3 right now. Lugia V-Star, right now, MIA, but when it reemerges, go second. We don't care about the first knockout. Play from behind. It lets us play with 210, which is a relevant number. It lets us use the Defiance Band. It also lets that really silly play pop off that I keep talking about. Look for small 2 prizers. When in doubt, Archeops is plan B. Once you take their resources from them, ignore the V-Star. The early V-Star KO can happen, but it's really unlikely. The key cards, the Charizard, the Radiant Charizard, the Jet Energy, the Defiance Band, all things I've talked about in excess. And then, of course, you have the Chinchino from Temporal Forces waiting. This is what's going to give the deck a second wind. Special roll. 5 energy on it, does 350 damage, 1 prizer, bit problematic. That's okay. We have Delphox V waiting. I'm not entirely sure if it fixes the matchup, but if they have to dump 5 energy onto a Pokemon and we are just sending it off, I think it could be considering, but we would have to restructure some counts. Again, I don't know if Lugia is going to see that much play that we have to respect it, but it is something to at least keep on the back foot. Giratina V-Star. Go second when possible. Time your disruption. If they're struggling, let them struggle. Don't let them get bailed out by an Iono. There's many times where I'm playing Giratina and I bluff, and I'm like, oh, you know what I mean? Or I look like my hand's good, and then they Iono me into something good, and I have a couple Colress, and I'm like, oh, thank you. That Iono was basically, you know, helpful to me. Charmander destroys path. Don't be afraid to use a Charmander to Blazing Destruction of Path away. Because their numbers are so high, unless we see an opportunity to take a Giratina V, it doesn't make sense. Watch the Lost Zone count. 4 is Cramorant, which they don't always often pull. 7 is Lost Impact or Moonlight Shuriken. And 10 is Star Requiem or Lost Mine. So they're very interesting attacks. Know when to play your Manaphy's, know when to play your Jirachis. Maybe you don't need both, but you only need one. figure that out as you're playing. Don't rush to 3 prizes. Roxanne and PAF is as predictable as death and taxes. You know when it's coming. Play around it. Take 2 early prizes. Maybe hit into something early. There is absolutely no reason to rush there unless you have a commanding lead. Because again, losing is winning. So if they Roxanne PAF you and you can't dig out of it, yes, we have Bibarel as bait. Why do we want to be on a 3 prize count anyway? I would rather knock 2 things out, hit into a V-star, let them knock me out, and then I'll knock out the V-star and then go from there. I think I'm just going to keep rehashing it. You can still Defiance Band, Combustion Blast away a V-star, which is super funny. That math is so relevant in a lot of these matchups. Prepare your board for late, so Bibarels, Jirachi. You don't mind the Roxanne as much, but still don't play into it. You're going to give them 6 fresh cards, and if we can prolong that as long as possible, we will. Key cards. You have your Stadium discards, you have your Iono, you have your Manaphy and your Jirachis, and your Pidgeot and your Forest Stone. Pidgeot and Forest Stone are great get-out-of-jail-free cards, and they will always be great cards. I don't think Spiritomb will see the play that it should, and so we're going to take advantage of that. If they start playing it again, we will shift accordingly. Next up, we have Gardevoir EX. This one, I don't really like. We're going to go first, though, because we don't want them evolving first. We're going to play from behind or even. Reversal Energy only triggers when they are losing. Counter Catcher, which is 2 out of 3 of their Gust cards, only works when they are losing. So if we are playing even, they only have access to 1 copy of Boss's Orders, which is fine by me. They can't play those cards. They're at an extreme disadvantage. Reversal plus 6 energy, Oko's a Charizard. That is a relevant number to keep in mind. Do not forget it. Use your Charmanders. Blazing Destruction, maybe 30 damage with a Defiance Band, or 40 and 30 with a Defiance Band. Your Charmanders do provide value. You'd be surprised. Bad news, though. The build that I have put forth, because we put so much onto Snorlax, Gardevoir was the one matchup that I was willing to accept as my strategic loss. The new inclusion of Moonlit Hill, discard a Psychic Energy, heal 30 from your Pokemon, actually fixes their math, so Shining Arcana can be Psychic Embraced up to 8 energy, and they can attach the 9th from hand. So it's not repeatable often, but it is a tad problematic. So Gardevoir, it's not very good, right? That's another one where you really can't afford to overbench your EXs, but it's not good. So our EX hits for weakness. Our Charmanders are really trying to poke those Shining Arcanas. Defiance Band might be able to get us there early. Boss's Orders, again, we have more natural Gust than they do, but Moonlit Hill really complicates this matter. So a Lost City or 2 could really smooth things over, but it depends on how much you want to invest in this matchup. I think Gardevoir is kind of on the downswing with rotation coming, losing its best pieces. So you could just kind of wait this one out if you really had to. It's also a hard deck to play. Next up, we've got the mirror match. So how do I talk about this one? So this one is kind of back and forth. I really hate mirror matches. People say they're all skill, expression, whatever. Sometimes it's just a coin flip or what you draw, and you can't control that. But what we're going to try to do, what we can control, is go second when possible. We still want a TM Evo, we get more advantage, we get more cards, VIP pass again. It's not Buddy Poffin, things might change with that dynamic, but right now, VIP pass you want to find, and the best way to find it is going second. Play your Charmeleon. The Charmeleons allow you to keep that 1 prize board state longer. Skipping ahead to Charizard is cute and all, but typically the Charmeleons provide more value because we get more flex. Hit around the Charizard. Make them burn resources to get the Bidoofs and the Bibarels. If you burn 2 Boss's Orders getting off their Bibarels, that means they have to burn a Super Rod or 2. Let's say you're playing the identical 60. They have to burn Super Rods to reestablish, or the Ionos then become extremely one-sided. Counter Catcher, Boss's Orders. We play 4 cards. You should be able to go around the Charizard. Again, we shouldn't get into the 2-hit KO thing because they could collapse, they could Turo, they could do whatever, really. Hell, they could pull a wild one and play Cheryl. Conserve your resources, your Super Rods, your energies, your Defiance Band especially. That's a card that is so tempting to burn early. Don't. Save the Defiance Band for when you can help it, okay? That's how we typically come back on that one. Look for differences, and what I mean is, do they play small 2-prize Pokemon we can eat up? Are we looking at Rotoms? Are we looking at Luminions? Pidgeot, if they're playing that, also hides back in the deck. Do they play Entei? Do they play Delphox? Do they play anything we can really capitalize and feast on? Because if they do, we're going to try to take it up. And the best way to do that is you can always counter catcher or boss it, then collapsed and force them to discard something that they want, knock out that Pokemon, and then really punish their board, because then you set them back 2 spots and took 2 prizes. Doesn't always work out that way, so the matchup can be a little dicey. Key cards. Collapse is a defensive card. Iono can be very strong when the Bibarels are gone, and because Pidgeot hides in the deck, again, it gives the V-Star power without being on the board for the entire time. And then, let's talk about last week. Man, we really like to live in the past. Go second when possible. Charizard Pidgeot is still a funky one. You want to see your VIP passes. Again, best way to do that is going second. Double up your attackers. You're going to want a lot of Charmanders, a lot of Charmeleons. You're going to want the double Bidoofs. You don't want them picking something and isolating that from your board. Hit around the Charizard for as long as possible if you can help it. Maybe take out a Charmander or a Charmeleon. You typically want them to race ahead. Look for bench sitters. The Pidgeot build is more likely to play Rotoms and Lumineons because they're looking for full tilt aggression, right? Bibarel's too slow for them, so they're going to be pushing. They're going to have liabilities. Sometimes they can't clear them with Collapsed, or they don't play Turo or Penny or anything like that. Those are free 2 prizes. You can take those. Take down the bird. When they get to 3 prizes taken, if we're sitting at 4 prizes remaining and they're sitting at 3 prizes remaining, that is the ideal time to Defiance Band. If you can Defiance Band, take off the bird, pair it with an Iono preferably, you really can slow them down. Yes, we are down to 2 prizes remaining, but when they knock us out, they fall down to 1 prize remaining, and then we can just respond with an easy Ultra Ball, evolve our Charmeleon, Charizard, attach game. Doesn't always play out that way. Sometimes you have to use the Radiant Charizard to get in there in order to force them, but if you present the Radiant Charizard when we're both tied at 4 prizes, then you can really force them to take that 3rd prize, and that's where things get awkward for them because they only play so many Ionos, right? And the Bibarels are there. The 3 Fire Energy and the Jet, Combustion Blast, and Defiance Band, you can go in after that Pidgeot EX without ever putting the Charizard into play, which is nice. I do really like that. Sometimes it's nice, or if they take exactly 1 prize and you only see 1 Pidgeot on the board, you can take it out early and then make them constantly recycle and chase smaller things. Does come up, Counter Catcher, Defiance Band. I think I've mentioned this quite a few matchups. Radiant Charizard is one of your most important cards. Key cards, Super Odds, Collapse Stadium, Charmeleon. You want to make this one pretty much free. Devolution TM, you can cut any of your additional cards, maybe a switch, whatever. Don't cut the energy. And then by cutting that, the Devo TM will make it free because it's as good as an attack. If you want to see how to beat the Charizard Pidgeot matchup or how to really play around Charizard, check the previous video. I do think it's worth mentioning. Long-term outlook. So we got to the end of the video. Oh, let's take a breath. So what do I think? It is future-proof. It is absolutely future-proof. It is a bulky card. It is a 2 prize card. It evolves from a 1 prizer. It has an incredible ability. It might eventually shift over to a support Pokemon, but right now it is a beat stick galore because of how good it is. It is dual typed. I've shown you all of the freaking Charizards in format. It is a good Pokemon right now. Fire, Dark, even just the Radiant Charizard. You have a lot in the kit, and it doesn't look like it. It's very streamlined, very simple, great to pick up. Once you learn how to play the deck and kind of maneuver, you're in for a good acceleration. Again, 3 free attachments. You can do quite a few nutty things with those. Looking at the 4 attachment Combustion Blast, and then of course Charizard Plot Armor. It always feels like Charizard has it. Could still be in Worlds, could be prevalent a year from now. It could be the new Mew VMAX. People are cursing and shaking their hands at and be like, grr. Charizard is here to stay. I honestly think that, and they designed it that way, so keep an eye out for the plot armor going forward. And the eventual League Battle deck we should probably get in November or January. Ogerpon is coming in May 2024. Estimations being it's a grass type. It has a couple masks, so it could have tool cards that change its type, but realistically it's going to be a grass type. They need a way to balance this Charizard, or try to. I don't think it will, because you can pair off, you know, Radiant Charizard and really just work around it with the 1 prize board state that I've been showing you all video for this hour if you stuck around. And what's next? We have 1 more Charizard video to cover, and then we can get back to regularly scheduled content. So the next one coming is Lost Zone Charizard, and there will be a nice special feature in there if you decide to tune in. Keep an eye out. Working on a giveaway. If you enjoyed the content, guys, just want to say thanks for tuning in. Until next time, take care and have fun playing Pokemon. Cheers.